All right, here we go. Another Binger Boneheaded Moment, number 3. Oh, just a few updates here. I went ahead and put on some headphones. Are you happy, Ripley? Well, if it makes the show better, then I'm all for it. Also, I hope you saw my show on Liberal Dan. We've been going back and forth. He just had a live stream. He went through the actual Wisconsin statutes line by line. You got to go watch it. It's a real hoot. Speaking of hoots, we have again Thomas Clair Binger, and he's going to show his wit and wisdom in front of everyone here. This is going way back to a court hearing. Actually, it was a bail hearing that he had, and the setting is he wants Kyle arrested because Kyle was not living at the address that he gave the court. And of course, the reason why Kyle didn't give anybody his address because he doesn't want to die. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnnie Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnnie Walker Dread Show.
Okay, here we go. And at the end, of course, we're going to give this a Binger score, where the B stands for brainless, I stands for ignorant, and N stands for nasty. Now, what's the setting here? Well, Kyle's attorney wrote down Kyle's old address on the bond hearing form and turned it in, and Kyle was no longer living there. And the reason is obvious. Kyle feared for his life, or at least that's what the defense is going to claim. Of course, Thomas Binger, he jumped all over this. This is going to be a really good excuse for him to try to get Kyle thrown back in jail. That's what Binger really wants. He wants Kyle in jail where Kyle can get roughed up a little. Okay? And by the way, if you think otherwise, no, that's the case. This is Thomas Clair Binger we're talking about. All right? And so now he's going to pitch an argument to the court that Kyle's reasons for not putting down the correct address do not outweigh the law itself. Okay? Now, okay, so to make sure we understand, the defense is claiming that, yes, it was a violation. However, there's a good reason for us to do this. Kyle's life was in danger. We don't want to get the client killed. All right? Thomas Binger has to somehow beat out that argument. And what he's going to end up doing is essentially, for all practical purposes, undercut his own argument. Let's watch.
Ultimately, Your Honor, I think this is a case where it would be important for the court to know exactly where the defendant is living. As I said, this is an extremely serious case.
And by the way, he says it's important for the court to know where he's living. But what he really means is it's important for himself to know where he's living. And you may wonder, well, come on now, how do you know that? Because towards the end of the hearing, the defense agrees to give the court Kyle's address. And what happens? Binger gets pissed because he doesn't get the address. That's what this is all about. He wants the address so he can publicize it. Now you might think, well, now wait a minute here now. How do you know that he wants to publicize it? He said so. In an email, he refused to allow the defense to keep Kyle's address confidential. And so he wants Kyle's address publicized. And Judge Bruce Schroeder knows it. And that's why Bruce Schroeder never gave it to him. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's listen some more.
And I think that it's important that we don't know a P.O. box. We know exactly where the defendant is because of the risk of intimidation to witnesses, the risk to the community. And ultimately, Your Honor, I want to make it clear to anyone who's watching this that the Anita Terrace address, which was on record for the defendant, is no longer his address. It is not associated with him. There is someone new and innocent who's residing there. And
Binger is giving out a public service announcement to make himself look like he really cares about people. I want to tell everybody out there, I don't want these new people being bothered. Gee, what a swell guy.
Should be free from any contact, mail, people bothering them, anything like that. You know, the defense is going to argue and has argued in their written submissions that they need to keep the defendant's whereabouts confidential because of fear for his safety.
Yeah, that's right. That's the defense's argument. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to do everything you can to reinforce it.
Now someone new has moved into the defendant's former apartment, and that person is in jeopardy.
Why is he in jeopardy? Oh, could it be that the defense's argument that Kyle faces serious risk to life and limb if people know where he's living is valid? That's what you're saying.
That person is at risk from the things that the defendant is fearful of. And as recently as 20 days ago, on January 22nd, the defendant misrepresented. He lied about his address to this court by signing a bond with the Anita Terrace address on it, knowing full well that was no longer an address that he lived at, no longer an address he gets mail at, no longer an address that he's associated with in any way. And in fact,
in other words, you're just now telling Judge Bruce Schroeder that he didn't give us the address for a good reason. You just got done explaining that it was a good reason. He feared for his life.
Someone new is there. And if there's anyone out there that wants to try and find Kyle Rittenhouse, that might be the first place they look, and that person is potentially in jeopardy.
Why? Oh, that's right. Kyle's life is in danger. Thanks for reminding the judge that.
So that was a very dangerous and irresponsible thing, a callous thing to do. And that's one of the things I wanted to bring to the court's attention so we can fix that and make sure that whoever's in that apartment is safe and isn't going to be bothered to the extent anybody's out there trying to bother Mr. Rittenhouse. But more importantly, we've got a bond violation here. 969.10 has not been complied with, and there's no dispute about that. The defense has acknowledged that.
They acknowledged it, all right. And in fact, they acknowledged it for the same reason that you're now claiming is valid. Okay, so guess what he did? He subverted his own argument. He walked in there and he did about everything in his power to reinforce the defense's argument that Kyle's life really is in serious jeopardy, which makes his decision not to disclose his address all the more rational. And in the end, it's going to end up biting Binger in the butt because the court is going to demand that Kyle give the court his address and nobody else. Well, actually, the sheriff too. Now, that's rather unusual, but when you have a prosecutor going in there and reinforcing constantly that the life of the defendant is in serious jeopardy, that's what you get. And then you're going to get all pissed when the court doesn't give you the address. Well, why would they? So, yeah, Binger, that was really dumb. How do we rank this on the Binger scale? Well, the B stands for brainless. How brainless was this? Anybody in Thomas Binger's office should have looked at what he was going to present and told him, hey, wait a minute. What is the focus here? Your focus is on getting Kyle jailed for this bond violation. The last thing you want to do is reinforce the defense's argument that his decision not to disclose the address was reasonable. So why are you going in there and amplifying the danger that Kyle faced? That's kind of stupid. You should be downplaying it. But Binger is so entrenched on trying to get Kyle's name dragged through the mud. He wants to label Kyle as irresponsible and thoughtless, uncaring, that he forgot the overall goal of what he was trying to reach. Terrible strategy. On a brainless scale, this gets a 5 out of 5. Anybody watching this hearing, as soon as he started talking about the danger that the new tenants faced, would immediately, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Everyone, I even think Kimberly Motley saw the problem with that argument. Okay, almost everyone that's there understood immediately that Thomas Binger put his foot in his mouth on that one. So 5 out of 5 on the brainless scale. So how ignorant is this? Well, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. Now you think, well, why is there even 2? After all, there's no legal issue here, right? Well, the truth of it is that Thomas Clair Binger thinks that he can get Kyle thrown back in jail over something so minor as not disclosing his address to the court. And the judge details the fact that it's quite common for courts to not know the current address of people out on bail. Thomas Binger should have known that. So I give it a scale of 2 out of 5 for ignorance. But now we get to nasty. How nasty is this? This is a 5 out of 5. And the reason why is Kyle does agree to disclose his address to the judge and to the sheriff, that's not good enough for Binger. He wants the address himself. This is more about getting Kyle's address out there in the public, and you all know what would happen then, for which Thomas Binger even acknowledges what would happen. He tells everybody that Kyle faces serious danger if people know where he's living, and yet he wants his address so badly. It's amazing. Well, his begging for Kyle's address will make a Binger Boneheaded Moment number 4 coming up. Like my videos, subscribe to my channel.